Well, you might have seen that it's time to say farewell to the Waldorf Pulse 2. It's been in production since 2013, so we've had a decade from it, but it does seem like the huge number of knobby-faced competitors we now have might have taken its toll on sales. And it's a great sounding little analog synth that built on the original Pulse, which was housed in a rack unit, which maybe looked more impressive, resembling the older microwaves, but also, it was a little bit old-fashioned at the time, and Waldorf were quick to get into desktop modules, which are particularly useful when making a video like this. And it really is a nice looking little thing with some hidden depths. It's got 3 oscillators, but it can play 8 notes polyphonically. So that makes it pretty unique in my book. And I wonder if that'll affect the value of it once they've discontinued it. Only a few left if you want to get one. Get to the shops now. So maybe watch this video to see why it is so unique. But you can play chords on it, you can play pads, and you can play things that sound like pianos, a bit like this track. So I thought I'd quickly run through the main standout features, which to me are the oscillators. And we've got 3 here, they've all got different settings. If we look at oscillator 3, we've got a square, we've got a sawtooth, and we've got a triangle, and it can use an external input as well. Whereas oscillator 2 has got pulse width modulation, the sawtooth, the triangle, and it's got cross mod. And that's cross mod of the pulse width, not cross mod of the frequency. And this is where all the pulse width modulation and all the paraphonic action happens. And actually, if you're a synth designer or an electronics engineer, this is like a masterclass in what you can do with pulse waves. Anyway, so we get the pulse width modulation. We get a sawtooth. We get a triangle. And then we get this thing called an APW, and this is a pulse wave with a sub. You can hear the sub isn't changing, it's just a square. But we've got pulse width modulation on the hierarchy. And then we come into this unison, and that's 8 voices. Yes, 8 voices on a 3-voice synth, or a 3 oscillator synth. Detune it with the key track knob. That's playing 8 pulses. As I said, a masterclass in pulses. And the next one up is unison P, and this is paraphonic unison. So we've got 8 voices, or 8 oscillators playing, 8 pulses, and then it shares them between the keys. Let's undetune it. So we've started off with 1 key and 8 voices and ended up with 8 keys and a voice each. And then we've got the same with the APW wave. So unison, sub staying where it is, not being modulated. And again, we've got that paraphonic mode. 1 note per oscillator. And then we move to full paraphonic mode, whereby we only get 1 oscillator per key. 8 notes, and then this is the coolest, I think, is 4-note paraphonic. So you get voice stealing if you play more than 4 notes. But we've got oscillator 2 in there as well. So you can hear there, we've definitely got 2 oscillators playing. So put a 5th on it, actually. Again, 8 oscillators playing. Very nice. Let's just detune that so we can have a sort of nice floaty thing. It's playing a pulse, by the way. It'll only ever play a pulse. You can't change the oscillator to wave shape. It's just PWM. But that's a nicely detuned 2-oscillator pad sound. And that's what was using on the track you've just heard. If I put chord mode on. I was also using it for the piano tone. And also on that track, I used this sound here. And I wanted to show you this just to show you that it's got quite a lot of complex modulation in here. If I press Shift and Mod, we can see we've got 8 slots of modulation. At the minute, LFO1, we've got 2 LFOs, but one is controlling the cutoff. And the LFO and the mod wheel are then increasing that. And changing the pulse width as well. If we come back to the pad. So increasing the cutoff and the rate of LFO1. It's not as complex as the other one, but worth showing you that we do have a nice complex, or quite a complex modulation matrix in the little 3-oscillator synth, but you wouldn't expect anything less from Waldorf, would you? Next up then, we've got oscillator 2. Okay, we've got PWM, got sawtooth, triangle, or this cross mod. And this is cross modulating the rate of either oscillator 1 or oscillator 3. So we've got it on 3 at the minute. If we go to oscillator 3, level on that to turn to 0. Let's detune it. All we're listening to here is oscillator 2. So the pulse width of that's been modulated by 3. If we bring in 1 now. Nice, dirty tones there, aren't there? Let's play around with the filter. Really easy to get those sort of metallic, harsh basses. You can do really discordant things as well, obviously. Let's go back to 3. Add some envelope release. But what's really nice about this is that we can really fine-tune the tuning. Normally with FM, it's difficult sometimes to get the tuning right because it goes out of tune, but with this, we've got oscillator 2 and oscillator 3 we can play around with, so let's try and make it sound out of tune. Okay, so that's out of tune, definitely. Just take the release off a little bit. Listen to oscillator 1. I'll just put the oscillators on there, on the key step. And another thing is that absolutely everything is controllable via MIDI. There are editors for it, but I've not got one to work well on my M1. On Mac. So there's oscillator 3, we're not listening to it. So to get these in tune, I can now either detune oscillator 3 or oscillator 2. And you just get different tones whichever way you do it. And every time I play with it, I come up with nice little things. And doing something like that was the basis of this track. I was using made exactly the same way. brings us to oscillator 3, and its secret weapon is the routing. We can send it to oscillator 2 level, or the VCF, or to the drive level, or drive amount. So we'll put oscillator 2 on, and oscillator 3 we will route to the VCF, turn the frequency down, and the level of 3 is now the amount of modulation of the VCF. And that's a really easy way of doing nasty, gnarly bass lines, especially when you combine it with the looping envelopes as well. And that's a route to all sorts of lovely, dirty bass tones. It does have other stuff on this, but I think those oscillators are what really makes it shine. It's a shame it's gone, but you know, everything does have its day. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and if you did, please think about subscribing, ring the bell, join me over on Patreon, and maybe even check out my new Starsky Car website, starskycar.com. Anyway, I'll see you next time, and let's hope no more synths are discontinued in the meantime.